Leigh-Anne, good morning to you. So, what progress has been made, or should I say, what further progress has been made? We've heard about the arrests, but what more does the police minister have to say?
Hi, Chloe. Well, firstly, let me place myself. We're actually in Mitchell's Plain at the Tusong Centre in Tafelberg. Now, the area, Mitchell's Plain in general, is notorious for high levels of gang activity and violent crime. Now, Police Minister Bheki Cele and the Police Commissioner will be here today to give some feedback on the successes they're putting it at, as after the launch of the anti-gang unit by President Cyril Ramaphosa on November the 2nd, so earlier this month. As far as we know, there have been about 30 arrests in 30 cases in the first 3 weeks of the launch since the 2nd of November. I am also joined now by a resident of Mitchell's Plain and someone who has worked on the ground for as long as I've been a journalist, Michael Jacobs from the Mitchell's Plain United Residents Association. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Now, you've been on the Community Policing Forum, you've been an active crime fighter on the ground for years. Give us a status update of the gang warfare and general criminality in Mitchell's Plain as it stands.
Good morning, Leigh-Anne, and to the viewers. What I can say currently now, there has been very intense gang warfare within the Mitchell's Plain area, with identified areas of Tafelberg, Eastridge, Beacon Valley, and also your quieter suburbs, Portlands and Rocklands have seen that upplay for the last 2 years. You had your problem of gang violence in Woodlands, New Woodlands and Leigh-Anne. What we have seen now, since the launch of the anti-gang unit, which the community of Mitchell's Plain fully supports, that there has been a downscaling of this warfare within Mitchell's Plain. Like I've said, we will fully support Major General Andre Lincoln in the efforts in order to eradicate the scourge of guns, drugs and gangsterism, and we welcome the rest, but much more needs to be done by government. There are still pockets of active gang warfare within the Tafelberg area, within the Leigh-Anne area, and we've seen a recent flare-up in the New Woodlands and the new Leigh-Anne area, where two gangs are at each other's throat. And I think the anti-gang unit is becoming very proactive, and when there are complaints, then they are very quickly on the scene in order to stabilize that situation. But what we need currently is that the politicians on all levels of government, whether it's local, whether it's provincial and national, needs to taper down their rhetoric, their politics and their electioneering. Our communities suffer, and what the community of Mitchell's Plain is saying, especially the Mitchell's Plain United Residents Association, the politicians must put their politics aside, their difference aside, so that our communities can have a safe and festive season, so that our mothers, our fathers, our kids can go to school without gunshots being fired, can go to work without the fear that the kids won't return or loved one won't return. What we've seen in the Woodlands area, quite a couple or number of gangsters has been picked up through community participation and community giving information to the anti-gang unit, and we're seeing that in Tafelberg also and in Eastridge. But it's still worrying. The shots is still going off in Eastridge and Tafelberg and in Leigh-Anne. So what we need to do is that the anti-gang unit needs to have some sort of an outlet where they come into the communities, have joint walkabouts with the communities also, not only politicians, because at the end of the day, politicians can always divide our communities, but the local station commanders must now supplement these anti-gang unit activities so that we can work together.
Thank you so much for your time. Well, that was Michael Jacobs, a resident and crime fighter in this area.